Jesus freak here. Now, of the many study Bibles that have existed in my time, I've known my uncles who were both preachers to have used two. One of them was the very liberal New Oxford Annotated Bible. One I saw more often was the Ryrie Study Bible. And both my uncles had copies. Their versions were NASB 77. This one is a KJV edition. And a more recent edition. Printed in Italy. I wonder if it was Lego. Certainly it's not something you see every day from, normal Bibles as opposed to, premiums. There's some prefaces. Table of weights, 1 year reading guide, chronological order of the books, classification of the books. Introduction to the Old Testament. Now, there are some potential issues with this. Now, he acknowledges the Mosaic authorship of the Pentateuch, though he does give some time to the JEPD hypothesis, which you got books starting with a synopsis, outline, and timeline. The layout is pretty clean. It has side column references. Now, this may tint your opinion, but Ryrie doesn't seem to believe in an ex nihilo creation. I've said I don't personally believe in it either, but a lot of Christians do, so that may be an issue. There are some notes that call the translation into question. There's some inline maps. There's some conjecture as to where the locations in Ezekiel 38 refer to. Ryrie didn't go with the same suggestions that Schofield did, where Schofield suggested Russia, and he mentions this as a possibility, but he suggests Iran and Turkey instead. He opts to use the Son of the Gods interpretation rather than the Son of God interpretation in Daniel 3:25. This could be an issue if that's your interpretation. So if you're a firm KJV supporter, you're going to have some issues. With the notes. For Malachi, we have a Between the Testaments section, followed by a Harmony of the Gospels. And an Introduction to the New Testament. You have similar introductions to what's in the Old Testament. You have, a lot of charts here. He doesn't make a definitive call on the issue of Matthean versus Markan primacy. It's a decent red letter. It's not neon pink. Actually, Ryrie seems to be supporting Mathean primacy, but he's kind of wishy-washy about it. He calls the long ending of Mark into question. Referring to it as, he says, these verses do not appear in two of the most trustworthy manuscripts of the New Testament, though they are part of many other manuscripts and versions. If they are not part of the genuine text of Mark, the abrupt ending at verse 8 is probably because the original closing verses were lost. The doubtful genuineness of verses 9 through 20 makes it unwise to build a doctrine or base an experience on them. He seems to be suggesting a possibility of a Pentecostalist approach in some of the notes. This is really going to be a, chew the meat, spit out the bones. If you use these notes. He denies the Kama Johannium's authenticity, if that is an issue for you. He explicitly denies it. I should have looked up for the pericope. He questions its authenticity too. There is a note about the do his commandments versus wash the robes textual issue at Revelation 22:14. Now, props to Ryrie for his clear, he's definitely not salvation through works type, and his notes are very clear on this. He doesn't have a note about the textual question at Revelation 16:5. Now in the back we have a subject index. A synopsis of Bible doctrine, which Ryrie wrote. Now he offers a lot of ideas here that are like this possibility or that possibility, and being kind of wishy-washy about that. And some of these can be problematic. In one section labeled the doctrine of sin, he refers to sin as an illusion. And as soon as I said it, as a wait, what? Sin's not an illusion. It's a very real, very tangible thing. So there's a lot of, you're going to have to chew the meat and spit out the bones. There's a number of essays here written by mostly by Ryrie. Then there's another topical index, which is kind of like the subject index in the Thompson chain. By the way, Zondervan's publishing the Thompson chain now. They got the NASB 77, ESV, New King James, and King James in print already. They're just reprints of Kirkbride blocks at this point. Concordance. Which is a pretty comprehensive concordance. Some more timeline charts. Index to the maps, which are basically it's a Moody Bible, so you're going to see Moody maps. These are the same ones you're going to see in Cambridge of the 90s through about 2011, or some church Bible publishers' Bibles use Moody maps. And they're very, sharp copies as opposed to the much, blurrier reproductions that Cambridge and especially Church use. Now, I'm going to say you're going to want to be careful with some of the notes. I'm not sure I detect the bias that Ryrie is supposed to have had, but I haven't really looked all that closely. There certainly is a bias, and there are certainly notes with very clear issues. It's a mixed text. It's not strictly an Oxford text or a Cambridge text, but it's a mixed text. Now, physically, it's a pretty solid Bible. But it's got its issues, so take that as it may. Jesus freak out.